can actually tell the difference because they're both outstanding. The Logitech has the 12,000 dpi sensor, the DeathAdder has the 10,000 dpi sensor. They're both optical and they're both pretty much perfect. The first test is the push down test. So if I push on the back of the mouse and just push it down into the mouse pad, will it move? The Logitech G303, yes, it does a little bit. So it goes up, let go. The rest of the movement is actually just me moving. It's really hard to hold this mouse steady. Now for the DeathAdder, that's me moving the mouse again. I can't see any movement just by pushing it down. Now this could be said to be because of the shape rather than the sensor, although I'm a bit concerned about it still on the Logitech G303. They do have some slight issues that just haven't been fixed from the Logitech G302. Still an amazing mouse, don't get me wrong. However, that push down might be a sensor issue. Anyway, keep it in mind, it's not a big deal, it doesn't actually cause a problem. I just don't think it should be on mice in this day and age. Next we have the line test, and this is just drawing a straight line fairly slowly inside Photoshop. You can see that the Razer Mamba was pretty much perfect. Logitech G303 is very good, and the Razer DeathAdder Chroma also very good. I drew these two lines down the bottom here. Just earlier, I didn't put too much effort into them, but clearly the movement that you can see is just from my hand not moving in a straight line, but the sensors are both performing brilliantly. The top one here is the DeathAdder, the bottom one is the G303. The line test is actually the jitter test, and the sensors perform brilliantly. There is no jitter in these sensors. So moving on to the censored lag test, this is a DeathAdder Chroma, and it feels the sharpest out of all the mice I've ever used. It is so snappy, so quick. The Logitech G303, it actually doesn't feel as snappy as the DeathAdder somehow. It might be the weight of the mouse, although I thought the DeathAdder weighed more, maybe I'm wrong. But just by feel, it actually seems like the DeathAdder has the edge on this. So that sensor is a bit more responsive. But again, it could be the weight of the mouse or maybe the pads. It's really hard to determine just by feel whether or not there's a bit of delay there. However, I don't want to use programs because feel is actually extremely important. You get all the mice tests from the companies and they seem perfect because it's all done by machine and statistics. I like to put it in game and actually test whether or not it feels good. So having the mice side by side, I would have to give the edge to the DeathAdder. There's just something really sharp about that. Now for the flick test. This is to see if it can handle very fast movements. I'm going to use the DeathAdder Chroma first. Just do some 180s. And yeah, this mouse is perfect. I'm a bit uncomfortable at the moment, so I'm not going to be able to do them properly. But you get the idea. Let me just try a really fast one now. Yeah, that's not losing track at all. It's going exactly where it should. Perfect. Just some quick rocket jumps, just to prove that it can do it. And the answer is, of course it can. Not a problem at all. That one's tricky. Okay, now for Logitech G303. And as you'd expect, perfect. Let's just do some really fast ones now. Anyone who's throwing it faster than that, I would love to see a video of you in action, because yeah, I cannot make this sensor spin out no matter how fast I throw it. And of course we know that this one can rocket jump because I've used it in all the other videos. Just like that, no problem. Now let's do some precise movements. So this is zoomed in all the way at 1. So as far as you can zoom in Quake. And the Logitech G303 handles it perfectly. The smallest movement that I do, it tracks. Now the DeathAdder Chroma. Again, absolutely perfect. It picks up every movement. But is it smooth? I don't know if you can see this, but I think there's a bit of a wobble in the DeathAdder. Let me try the Logitech G303 again. So I'm not sure if it's me, but it seems like it's much harder to draw a straight line with the DeathAdder than it is the Logitech. So for precise movements, I'm going to have to give this win to the Logitech. So moving around, it's unlikely that you'll notice it unless you're super precise. But I mean, your movement alone is going to upset that, so I doubt you will be able to see it. Still, this is a sensor war, so I have to be harsh on both. So Logitech gets a win right there. And lastly, what about lift-off movement? So if I lift the G303 off the mouse mat, this is how much movement I get. Almost nothing, it's just tracking the upward motion, no problem. If I do the same with the DeathAdder, looks like there might be a little bit more movement. But you know, like when you're actually lifting the mouse in game, you're not going to notice that little bit. So none of these problems are big. I have to say that both sensors have been really good, and I'm definitely happy with both. I wouldn't actually worry about using them even in professional play or competitive play. These perform brilliantly. But as I have to choose a winner, well, there's no push down movement on the DeathAdder, so it wins there. It seems to be sharper, so crisper. There's no sensor lag at all on this thing. They have the same sort of lift-off movement, but I think the Logitech G303 wins there. Precise movements, Logitech G303 again. So there's really nothing in it. There are some minor differences, but nothing really substantial or problematic. It's only because I'm nitpicking that I'm even coming up with any of these. I doubt any casual players are going to notice, and even competitive players probably won't worry about them unless they get a defective model. So these sensors are amazing, really nothing to complain about, and it's just the DeathAdder being a bit crisper, maybe, that puts it above the Logitech G303. So if I had to choose a sensor just based on what I've seen today, I would say the DeathAdder has the better sensor, and I'd rather have that in mice. Alright, thanks for watching. Use the affiliate links to Amazon down in the description if you are going to buy one of these mice. That just helps support this channel. Please like and share this video because it does help grow this community. And subscribe because that'll help me get the attention of the mice companies once I reach over, say, 20,000. And of course, any questions or comments, just leave them below. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And I'll catch you in the next video. The purpose of this video is to test the sensors and to see if I can actually tell the difference, because they're both outstanding. The Logitech has the 12,000 dpi sensor, the DeathAdder has the 10,000 dpi sensor. They're both optical and they're both pretty much perfect. The first test is the push down test. So if I push on the back of the mouse and just push it down into the mouse pad, will it move? The Logitech G303, yes, it does a little bit. So it goes up, let go. The rest of the movement is actually just me moving. It's really hard to hold this mouse steady. Now for the DeathAdder, that's me moving the mouse again. I can't see any movement just by pushing it down. Now this could be said to be